recording. William, which do you prefer, mate?
Will is fine with me. That sounds great.
That's it. Well, welcome to the podcast, Will. I just realized I've gotten to know you over many months now. We've even ice bath together, and I've called you Will from the start. And then I saw your name typed in as William. I thought, I should double check.
Yeah, my name always looks when I put my last name there. It always sounds nice. Always looks nicer. William Kane Portucker.
Beautiful. New Zealand man, born and
Yeah,
bred.
come from a huge Maori family.
Incredible. Well, welcome. And I always ask everyone, Will, if you were sitting next to a stranger at a dinner party and they asked you what you did for a living, what would you say?
Um, well, I guess the short answer is a sound therapist, but then over time I've done so many more things with sound, so I'd probably say sound. I'm a sounds nerd.
It sounds nerd.
A sound nerd. I'm a musician. I dive into the physics of sound. I dive into the healing of sound. I love I love music theory and everything to do with it. I just love every aspect of sound, and neither the healing aspect or the musician aspect has really kind of taken a hold of me yet. So it's just a sound in general.
Yeah, amazing. What's the general response you get from people when you say you're a sound therapist?
Usually, what's that? What's that? Or, oh, you mean like the crystal balls? And then generally I have to say, well, I actually don't really use crystal balls in my practice. I use a sound table. And then straight, you just see a blank look in people's eyes and they have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Then you start trying to explain it. And generally, they sort of leave a little bit almost dumbfounded, like they can't really grasp what I was talking about.
Yeah.
You have to, with the sound
When,
tape. Yeah.
sorry, I was going to say, sorry, there's a tiny bit of lag here, but when when do people generally then come to see you? Because obviously I've seen your setup. We had you at the recent three-night retreat here in May 2022, just for anyone listening. Um, so at what point are people coming to see you for sound therapy?
You mean at what point in their stage?
Yeah, in their journey, especially
Yeah,
if
in
people
their
don't get
journey.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, true. That's a good question. Generally, unfortunately, it tends to be people who are at their wits' end of what to do next. They don't know how to help themselves, or they don't know what to do in order to help themselves. And so, generally, it's almost like a leap of faith. Like, I just thought I should try this, or this might be what I need. That kind of thinking of not really knowing what else to do after being on medication for a long time, or after, I guess, doing some old practices that they've been doing for a long time. There's that, and then there's other people come to me for deepening their journey, their spiritual journey, deepening their meditation practice, and going a bit deeper into a different realm of spirituality, I guess, if we can
Hmm.
call it that. It seems like they want to take it in a different direction, or maybe they've felt that after years of doing meditating every day, or doing yoga every day, or reading a bunch of books or something like that, that maybe even after that they're still not feeling quite fulfilled and are seeking something else beyond what they've been doing for such a long time. So generally, I get those two kind of people coming to see me.
Yeah, and they're both deep, big components, and it's interesting how I found from running. I think we've run 10 retreats now, or even 11, and dozens of workshops and people, and they all come in for different reasons, and quite often it's because of a push of a health issue or a pain issue that's driving a person to actually take action. It's like the frog in the boiling water syndrome, or then, like you say, the deepening of the spiritual practice. But I found also as well is that as they deepen their spiritual practice, it starts to reveal what needs to be healed, and
Yeah,
vice
totally.
versa. As you start to heal a component, and when we say healing, we always think of physical, but for me, it's not only physical, it's the emotional feeling aspect, it's the mental aspect, and also the spiritual aspect. So it's like
Yeah.
these two streams tend to lead back to one place. I mean, I got very excited when I found you, Will. I kind of stalked you for a little while, and then reached out after interviewing Dr. Jeffrey Thompson last year, I think it was, who I know you've studied under. And I'm curious to ask you then, how would you describe the elevator pitch? So if somebody starts to come to you to go, I'm at my end tether around this aspect of my health, or something like you say, or deepen the spiritual practice. For people listening to this, how does that relate into those two things of what you do, and how does it contribute and support one's journey for that?
Wow, that's a really good question. I guess when I'm talking to people, generally I sort of will get a vibe for maybe is when someone says when they're asking me about my practice, or when I'm talking to somebody, I can generally get a vibe of maybe what they are actually searching themselves. So it kind of depends on who I'm talking to, but uh, in a general sense, I say things like if you're not a meditator, and if you're just starting to meditate, this is kind of like a shortcut to meditation, because we're using binaural beats and a precisely tuned sound frequency to cause homeostasis in your nervous system, to cause a zero stress response, and to resynchronize or to synchronize the hemispheres to bring you to a certain brainwave state, whatever we're in training to, like gamma, say. And so you have people who have been meditating for years and years and years and years. Some of us don't even get to that end point of bliss and universal divine love or connection. But with these binaural beats, we actually create that in the brain over a span of 30 minutes or less, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, by listening to a soundtrack that will force your brain hemispheres to synchronize and to entrain you to a brainwave state such as delta or gamma, something like that, which takes years without binaural beats to do. You have monks who have been meditating for God knows how long, 20 years, and to achieve these states, and we can do it with binaural beats in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's powerful, Because I've used binaural beats in the past, and I found on my own journey, it's kind of helped give me my brain and my body a roadmap to get there. And then once I understood the roadmap, I could then start to practice it myself as well. So, like you say, it's like a shortcut in that does that.
Yeah, it's sort
Uh,
of like you send on your road, on that road you're talking about. It's like someone trims all the edges for you and mows the lawn, and it feels like quite a gentle stroll down, rather than having to hack your way through everything and covered in thorns and thistles.
exactly, and have the machete.
Yeah.
So there's a phrase that I want to pick you up on because my ears pricked up when you said it, and I want you to dive into it just a little bit, just a touch point why it's important. Because you mentioned the zero stress point that helps bring the body into homeostasis and zero stress point. Could you just expand on that a little bit for everyone? Because that's what gets me excited.
Yeah, great. The what we're talking about is homeostasis or zero stress. I I find those two names synonymous with each other. Um, Homeostasis is the place where our body goes to, and at that point, we go into a healing mode. We can physically, well, like you said, mostly people talk about physical healing, but we've also got emotional and spiritual. but let's just say with physical healing, it's easier to explain. When we go into homeostasis, our stress levels aren't being diverted away from healing. If we're stressed, our energy is being diverted to deal with that situation, to send energy to our liver because we're drinking beer, or you know, energy to our lungs because of grief. Whereas when we're in homeostasis, our body finally has a chance to work on the maintenance list that it has. We've all got a maintenance list. Everyone has a maintenance list of things that need to work on, that our body itself needs to work on. So by getting to that homeostasis point, we can give the body a chance to heal itself, to do its maintenance list, which has been trying to do for a long time. Does that answer the question?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Yeah, it gets me really excited because you can start like I ask this question at every 1 day workshop now, Will, and that is, what's the number one contributor? Do you think is the contributor of chronic disease, right? And everybody, not one other word gets shouted out except
Really?
stress.
Wow.
Stress. Everyone says it.
A few years ago, that wouldn't have been the case.
Right. And it is. I think if you look at the statistics, I think but this emotional, physical, again, mental stress, right? There's the stress of food, of what foods we put in our body. Like it's all if
Yeah,
inactivity is a form of
chemical
stress.
stress.
Yeah, right. Chemical toxins. It's bombarding. So it's no accident. So that's why I get so excited, because when you have the ability, and the other stat I heard is that you know our nervous system receives more information 1 day than it did in a lifetime 150 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
So it's nuts. And not that stress is a bad thing either. I don't want to just poop all over it, but when you start to understand those concepts, and when you start to speak about the 0 point stress point of homeostasis, that then we finally get out the way, that allows that checklist within the body to start to want to recalibrate itself to come back to its natural coherent state.
totally.
I get goosebumps when I think about it, and that's why I was so excited to bring you to the retreat that we just did, because you not only said, "Oh, we can do that as an individuals, but we can actually measure the group from the start to finish, the stress levels, the nervous system." So maybe because I still haven't got into your background yet, which I'm going to do in a sec, but maybe because it's going in this direction, can you speak to a little bit about that, what we did, and
Yeah,
what we
totally.
found?
The before I talk about that, just when you said that we now receive a certain amount of data points uh, in our nervous system, or basically saying the world is getting more stressful. With the work that I'm doing, the one of the main, I guess, missions of it is that to beef up the nervous system so that it is more stress capable. That's a huge part of the work that I'm doing, is trying to essentially take the nervous system to the gym and to muscle it up so that it's more capable. But yeah, the retreat was great. That was really fun. Um, so what we did, I think there's a few videos on your Instagram. Um, and if there's not, I have some videos, so we can definitely get some of those going. Um, we sat the group around with the heart rate variability monitor, and then everybody connected hands. Jeffrey Thompson has done this so many times. Then we swept a frequency through the room and watched the nervous system of the group on the computer. And so we see all these like lines and squiggles representing the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. And yeah.
I was going to say, maybe just for people as well, because we're opening loops, is if you could break down what the heart rate variability monitor is, and why that's a key component for the group as well.
True. So the heart rate variability monitor is reading the spaces in between our heartbeats and calculating that through an algorithm to be able to watch the levels in our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. And with that, we can essentially, just watch the nervous system, see what it's doing, see if it's in homeostasis, see if there's a huge stress response, see if we're stuck in a stress response, see if our stress handling system is completely gone and we're just like, it's not handling itself. So the group was handling itself. It was doing pretty good. It was not doing too bad at the beginning. But then after, well, first before the retreat, we had no crossovers into homeostasis, but the energy levels,
That's the 0 point you're talking
0
about.
point,
Yeah?
exactly. And then at the very end, after, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 crossovers into homeostasis. Not only that, but there's a certain thing that happens on the heart rate variability monitor, which is, we call it cycling, but maybe another word is like consistent homeostasis. Because homeostasis doesn't just happen at one point necessarily. It can happen over time, and what that looks like is these consistent movements between parasympathetic and sympathetic. And when we saw the group afterwards, we saw this really beautiful movement from sympathetic to parasympathetic, nice and even blobs just waving through. That was quite amazing to see just over the short span of time that we did the test for.
4 minutes, right?
4
So
minutes,
4
yeah.
crossovers in
4
minutes.
crossovers in 4 minutes. Like, you can't really
and
can't
no
do
crossovers
any,
before. Yeah.
no crossovers before.
So can I just lean into this? So the implications of that is that as a collective group, when they're coming in, then the body is not in that point where it's allowing the checklist to start to recalibrate that whatever word we want to use, become a coherent state, healing. But at the end of the retreat, the entire group were pretty much where they should be through the collective power of the group.
You're saying that at the end they were where they should be?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty amazing. And one other thing to note is, in the very first reading before the retreat, there's a big amplitude of very low frequency, which is associated with mental chatter, lots of ruminating thoughts. And so we saw that drop down a lot afterwards. We saw a huge plummet of this. We call it the red zone because it's red. So we can see it was like everybody's mind was quiet. It sounds weird to talk about data like this, but that's what it looked like. To me, it felt like everyone's mind was quiet and everyone was connected.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. No, we will be putting a video together properly and a blog post and emailing it out via our newsletter for people so they can nerd out on the data a bit more from that as well. And there's a small chance we might be measuring even over the 5-night retreat coming up. So stay tuned for that one as well, which is exciting, because the more data we can get, the more we can start to show people and lean into, then it certainly supports what we're seeing and knowing, but then it's being able to talk to the Western mind and actually support that and say, well, this is actually happening. This is why you're getting the results that you are. Which I think the implications are massive. And you say it so casually, Will, and but when you see somebody have a complete shift and a change, and especially when we catch up with somebody 6 months or a year later, and if they continue to practice the work, it's quite phenomenal how much change has occurred. On all those levels that we speak about, the physical, the mental, emotional, and the spiritual, which is just brilliant. I'm curious, Will, as well, because there's so many different things that we want to get into in a minute, but I, I'm curious on your journey as well. What attracted you to leaning into this work? Have you always had a fascination around sound and music? Like what what happened?
Well, yeah, I guess I don't necessarily fully understand it myself yet, but um, one thing attribute my interest in this to, I guess, it's not necessarily an interest in sound. Maybe this is just a manifestation of an interest in people through sound. I grew up in the Philippines, Malaysia, Italy, the US. I moved all over the place, and I think because of this, I really got to have a different perspective than most people would have. I got to see all sorts of people. I got to meet all sorts of people, and I think for me that was huge. That was amazing. Then I only ever picked up a guitar until I was 18. And the first songs that I learned were from Flight of the Conchords. Um, and,
That's a
um,
New Zealand show for anyone
yeah,
outside of the Southern Hemisphere. Comedy, right?
comedy. Yeah, it's very silly. It's amazing. Then I played folk and blues, and then 10 years later, I'm with my partner Katie, and she's studying Reiki. It's fun. Always, it it amazes me how just how much a woman can influence you. The My little brother said that he was vegetarian one time, and I asked him, "Is your girlfriend's vegetarian?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, they definitely get us to move, you know. So she was studying Reiki and sound therapy, and just watching
Hmm.
her change and shift and move through all of these kind of things that I'd never heard of, that I'd never really thought of. And slowly she went over to San Fran to study, and then eventually she sent me a video on Facebook and said, "You should check out this guy, you might like him." It was Dr. Jeffrey Thompson. And then I it was just like a perfect match, you know. Just everything he was talking about, I thought it was amazing. And I just wanted to learn more and more and more. Um, so yeah, I've been studying that myself. Really, there's nowhere else to do it other than with Dr. Thompson, and then further along the roads, you're just checking it out yourself. You know.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Well, what amazes me, Will, as well, is that, um, like you say, this work isn't talked about much, and like you say, people find you when they're at the end of their tether, or like there's a massive push into something because they've tried everything else. But when you start to break down and understand the science behind it and the implications, I'm amazed this work and knowledge isn't out there more and more, you know, and being supported that way. Like maybe can you think of examples, or even with Dr. Jeffrey Thompson, that
that
is,
really
you know,
sparked
he's been,
me. Yeah, true.
yeah, that he's
Um,
seen over the years?
wow, there was Dr. Jeff was converting the sounds of elements um, into sound. The not He was converting light frequencies into sound frequencies of elements. Um, and one of these things he used on a patient that with AIDS, and because the thing with it's a autoimmune disease, and your nervous system is or your immune system, sorry, is attacking itself. And he found with this sound that he created, he was able to the immune system would switch off, would sort of like go stop functioning. And it sounds so bloody crazy. Maybe that's why we don't talk about it, because these all of these things are just like doesn't. really make sense yet, you know.
Hmm.
So then all of a sudden, this guy's body, the nervous system, the immune system was turned off, and so it wasn't attacking itself, and so his the toxicity levels went way down because it wasn't producing all of this stuff to attack itself, and so it like gave him, you know, a bit of time to breathe, if you will. And so he would listen to the sound, and then over time they implemented binaural beats and the sound frequency for his nervous system, and were able to kind of wean him out of it. I don't. That sounds wild, but to me that was just fascinating. That this, because it was a father and son. The father had brought the son there, and all of a sudden, like, they're still able to spend time together because of this weird kind of magic thing. Like, it doesn't make any sense that a sound would do something like that, but that did happen.
Yeah. I,
um,
I think I recall Jeffrey Thompson saying that when the father and son walked into his practice, I think his lungs were failing or kidneys were failing, and there was about only 4 weeks left in him to live. Like they weren't expecting much at all, but to ease his pain. I think that's what he's when I heard him speak about it
oh, right.
initially. So to that point, to like then you say be able to use frequency and then this particular element of sound. I believe it was gold. I can't remember, but he used
It was gold, yeah.
multiple frequencies to then turn off his immune system, which sounds counterintuitive because the immune system is attacking yourself. You'd think you'd want to build it. To then allow this guy to start to recover, or like you say, give
Yeah,
him some breathing space, and um, and he's basically saved his life, like
yeah,
from that, from that information, which is sound, which is just fascinating. But I guess the way I think about it as well, Will, because I think you're episode 222 or 223. Like I've
wow.
spoken to a lot of people, and a lot of it dives into the quantum science of things, where in essence everything is sound and vibration and frequency when you get to the molecular structure of it all, or beyond that. So I guess when you start influencing what gives rise to matter, and if the nervous system is such a big component of that, then it's like, wow, this is quite incredible
Yeah,
as we lean into that going forward. But it takes
yeah.
time, right?
It does take
It's
time, and
mm,
I guess I would like to see more people on board with this, more people from different fields. I'd like to see this as, but I can't remember who it was, but they said, I think it was probably Nikola Tesla actually, um, saying that when the Western world, or when science, that's right, when science starts to research the metaphysical, we'll see huge breakthroughs
mm,
in health and science and life. Just actually spending the time to research some of the stuff that we can't explain, research some of the, well, get creative and start to have a look at what's going on with sound and vibration and thoughts, energy, all of these. I don't want all this to be woo woo anymore.
it shouldn't be, and that's why I keep harping on about getting excited about bringing you into the retreats to do the measurements so we can show the data behind, I guess, the perceived woo woo. Because as far as I'm concerned, and I've been in front of enough people now and doing this for long enough to think this is our birthright. We should be knowing this knowledge, and we should know how to apply it, and actually what starts to make a difference in our lives. Because obviously myself working with Matt and him being a sound healer, a different approach, but it's still sound at the end of the day. It's still frequency, it's still vibration, and we are seeing like the results, and it's just crazy that it comes down to that people even run away from this work because they can't even allow their Western mind to lean into it in the first place,
Yeah.
and start to think of it because of some perceived belief that it gets imposed upon it before even looking at it. I'm keen to lean into sound a bit more with you, Will, because I know you got the vibroacoustic therapy. Because I think most people, when they think of sound, they just think of music. Oh, I'm just gonna, listen to something. But
Yeah.
it goes way beyond that. So I'm
This
intrigued to
is
know what that is and how that supports one as well.
Yeah, this is one of the things with the elevator speech that is, like we were saying before, it's quite difficult to explain something that people have never experienced before. And that thing being vibroacoustic therapy. So behind me is a sound lounge or sound table, sound lounge. And what it has in it is low frequency tactile transducers, which are built into the mattress, built into the table. And that plays low frequency sound directly into the body. Now, I guess one good way to explain it is that our ears, we hear between 20 and 20,000 hertz. And then once we go beyond 20,000 hertz, that's ultrasound. But when we go into the low frequency range, we can, if you put your hands next to a speaker, you can feel, you put them close enough, turn it up loud enough, you can feel it in your hands. Our whole bodies are able to do this because we have nerve endings, because we have these 4 different perceptors for these vibrations. And those 4 different perceptors allow our body to feel from 0.3, actually. That's a funny number, but studies have shown that 0.3 to 500, 500 hertz. So that's 500 hertz is still quite a high frequency. It's kind of getting into the mid range, but so we can feel all of this sound, and by laying on the sound table and playing these low frequency vibrations, I mean it's FDA approved. Vibroacoustic therapy is FDA approved for circulation, increase of circulation, pain reduction, which is a big deal, and circulation, pain reduction. There's a third one. I forgot what that is.
Okay.
Inflammation,
which is another massive one.
Well, yeah, I mean, once you've got, it's the same thing. Once you've got the problem, like, you want to fix it, and this is one of the ways that we can do that. So that's one of the aspects of my practice, a huge aspect. I mean, I use that thing every day, every single morning. I absolutely love it. And
that's why you're so relaxed every time I speak to you, mate.
Yeah, I'm human. I get stressed, but not usually often.
I haven't seen it
Yeah,
yet.
well, that's good. No, I don't get stressed very often. Maybe that's why. But I mean, I could talk about it forever. There's so many different aspects to it. Where low frequency, you can see with John Stewart Reed, he talks about low frequency sound creating infrared light. What happens is that in the pulses of the sound frequencies is actually creates a piezoelectric effect. So like a kind of clapping of 2 sound waves together, more or less. Yeah. So like boom, and then light, infrared light is created from that. And infrared light goes out to the ends of space. And so one of the aspects that I believe that still needs more research with vibroacoustic therapy is that infrared light is actually being created, and that's potentially one of the healing aspects of this modality. You've also got pain, like I said before, pain is a big deal. And we've got these tracks in our body that essentially send signals from the brain to other parts of the body. So you like hit your thumb with a hammer. Pain is actually quite a slow movement up to the like it's coming down to send pain, so you don't really feel it until
So,
afterwards.
yeah.
It's a slow process, so that I guess that's how we've evolved over this time. But when you fill up those tracks with sound vibration, the pain's not actually able to be there. That it kind of it's overstimulates those tracks, those messenger tracks with sound vibration, and you have less pain or no pain.
Hmm.
So it's
Uh,
things, yeah.
yeah, I'm fascinated because you even mentioned the word piezoelectric effect, and because I was kind of trying to put pieces together scientifically as well. I've spoke about it a few times about when I had a Kundalini release and a Kundalini awakening, and the it's there's some of the theories. There's the piezoelectric effect within the molecules within the cerebral fluid, and actually it's sitting in fluid. It actually
Huh.
creates can create a stronger electrical charge. And then when you use the breath is bringing together the stored energy and the vibration. So it's almost like uh, I think of it like flint with the sparker. You're just sparking something until you get it going enough for the full
Wow.
energy release to move in the cerebral fluid becomes the conductor from the piezoelectric effect of those molecules becoming charged and accelerating in motion, and then they go up the
Wow.
spine into the pineal
That's
gland.
amazing. Well, if you think about it, lying on a sound table, you've got a piezoelectric effect happening inside of your body.
Well, there you
Because
go. So if any,
you've got sound going into your body, and literally you have this piezoelectric effect happening throughout your body.
wow. So I just want to repeat back a couple of things because there's a lot in there, not only for me to
Mm.
understand, but for the listeners as well. So you were saying that our nervous system has nerve endings and it has four receptors that can pick up low grade frequencies, giving you the ability for the nervous system to feel vibration. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
so that's yeah, so like yeah, so we have just the way that our senses, the way that we're able to feel. There's these four receptors that allow us to feel sound vibrations, and
Perfect. Yeah.
those are in the low frequency range, because once you get above to like a 20,000 hertz, you we can't feel that. Our body's receiving it, but we can't really feel we can't really feel it physically.
Yeah.
But the low frequency sound from zero point 0.3 to 500 hertz is a felt sound. So we actually we feel that, and our body
Got it.
absorbs that information through these four receptors. So those four receptors are essentially made, they're little antennas for those specific vibrations. The sound comes in, is received by those receptors, and then is sent into our nervous system, our brain, etc.
So, because we not only because we only when we think about sound, we think about hearing it, like I said, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so this is big. It's big on going just the hearing of the sound to the sensory feeling of the sound, and like you say, we're running through it. Just because we can't feel it doesn't mean the sound's not having impact. So, with the combination then of the binaural beats, which you spoke to at the beginning, which starts to work with brainwave entrainment and frequency, allowing us to get more into that meditative state. And then I'm guessing you put them on the vibro acoustic table at the same time. So we're listening to something and we're feeling something, which is then starting to work its way to get us into that 0 point homeostasis.
Definitely. And we go even deeper with we go even deeper with so we use, when you're feeling the sound in the bed, it's the exact same sound that you're hearing. So you're it's just one soundtrack. It's one sound. You're hearing it through headphones and listening to it through your body as well. But another aspect we do is actually record the sound of the person's voice using 3D microphones to then play the person's voice into their body. And so we take the sound recording of their voice, we drop it by a few octaves to get a nice low frequency, and then we play a whole stack of octaves into the vibro table so that people can feel the sound of their own voice.
Got it. So there's a bit of lag there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's
Um,
like so you're playing people back their own voice into their body.
wow. So, okay, you trigger more questions, and I apologize for everyone if this is a technical podcast, but it's great to have the technical stuff as well because it keeps giving evidence to what we're talking about here on the long-term journey of it. But the one thing I'm curious about then, because we've had many conversations beyond this podcast, but one is to find the unique resonance of one's nervous system first, which is what you do, which is, I think, unique. And then the second thing is that then because you've got that unique nervous, let's start with that. Why do you do that first? And I'll ask the next question.
So we use a sound frequency to try to induce homeostasis, let's say. So try to push the nervous system to a homeostasis point. And with the reason Dr. Thompson has been doing this for 30 years, and over that time, I guess he's found that using heart rate variability, we can watch the nervous system play a sound frequency through the table, through the sound lounge, and through headphones. And it's pretty cool when you put somebody on the bed, attach them to the heart rate monitor, play a sound frequency, you watch their nervous system just collapse, or the stress response, collapse, and just starts to move towards homeostasis. And it doesn't always happen so simply like that. Some people are more stressed than others, obviously. But we're trying to capture a specific sound frequency at the point of homeostasis so that we can use that frequency to train the body to go back to that point, if that makes sense.
It does.
Using the sound.
Yeah, it's again you're mowing the lawn for the person, the path for them, and then it's an easiest journey in.
Yeah, it's sort of like go here. Here's where you have to go. Here's where you have to go. Go back here. Go back here. Keep doing this. Keep going back here. Please go back to homeostasis.
Yeah, got it. Now you can't. I shouldn't say can't, but people have to see you in person initially. Is that correct? Because you need to be able to measure that nervous system and get that data you need first when moving forward. Right?
Yeah, definitely. I guess it's not unfortunate. It's a lot of fun. No. The sound table's a lot of fun. But there are more practitioners popping up all over the place. I was the first person in Australia. There are now 2 others, soon to be a third, I think. So I'm not the only one. I'm in Brisbane. Somebody's popping up in Melbourne. Oh no, in Victoria soon. We're trying to get lots of people to do it. So hopefully there'll be a practitioner in every city at some point. That'd be amazing.
It is fantastic, mate. But at the end of the day, they could fly in, they could come and see you, have a couple of sessions. They could then buy a table from you, get the resonance, and then go home and have the complete setup.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not the only person doing this. My partner has set up a company with her dad where they make vibroacoustic tables. They're the first company in Australia to make vibroacoustic therapy tables. And they make them themselves, and I help a lot with recording and soundtracks. So Katie, my partner, she's an amazing composer, makes all of the soundtracks specifically designed for the sound table so that you're receiving all the low frequency sound. She's got crystal bowls and gongs and whale sounds and nature sounds, and we do all sorts of things to try and get people to relax.
Yeah, well, the world needs it more than ever, mate. That's for sure. So, mate, I'll just tell everyone that any links relevant for today's conversation will be in the show notes below. Like I mentioned, we'll be putting some video content out and stuff about what we discovered at the retreat anyway, so people have a reference point. And if you know a loved one or friend or somebody that might be struggling and this is starting to make sense to people and they would want to look at it maybe a different approach, please check out all the links below and check out Will and everything else that we got here for you. Will, I got one last question, which I ask everyone on the show, and that is, with everything we've covered today, is there anything you want to leave the listeners to ponder on?
Oh. Gee, that's a very, very difficult question. There's so much, isn't there? And I don't really want to say anything simple like follow your joy. But I guess I just want to say that I believe that sound is a very powerful healing tool. And I think there's a lot to it. It's such a simple yet complex thing. And I think that kind of represents the very nature of our universe and what we're all doing here. And I think that there needs to be more research and more kind of activity in the sound realm, because I feel at the moment there's only a small number of people sort of carrying out these experiments, if you will, like these are trying out sound in the world, and it's been done for thousands of years, millennia even. Sound is I believe, the beginning of everything. And I think that it's a good time to dive into that at the moment.
Amen to that, mate. Couldn't agree more. Well, mate, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for your time. And I know this will reach a lot of people, and I encourage everyone to keep diving into this, leaning into this work and get curious about it. And who knows what will reveal itself by having that curiosity to go there. And hopefully we will see you in August as well at the retreat, if the stars align and everything works out. And for anyone that's coming to the 5-night retreat in August as well, we'll definitely get to meet this man as we measure more data on the groups to see what happens. So, Will, thanks for everything you do, mate. Thanks for coming on the show today. And it's deeply appreciated.
Thank you, Guy. It's been lovely to spend some time with you.